Hello and welcome to the all-new Marvel Roundup, the Southgate Media Group's guide to the Marvel Comics of the Week. I am Phil Parrish, and joining me is...
Charlie Esser!
Alright, Charlie, you're starting us off, so what would you like to discuss with us?
I'm going to start off with Slapstick numero 6. That's number 6 to you guys, because, hey, it is Cinco de Mayo. That's when we're recording tonight. Okay, we open up with Steve and who's the champion again? Is it Mike? Yeah, I think it's Mike. Steve and Mike, they're about to do battle. We see Steve has Gertie, Steve is Slapstick, and Mike has a cartoon mace with making a grumpy face. And they fight, but they're doing it all kayfabe, just playing for it. And then Mike hits him with the mace hard, and then we see the bell ring. The bell says "ow." End of round 14. The princess is not too happy with Steve because she knows he's kayfabbing. Then all of a sudden, Steve starts hearing a voice. It says, "Listen, I've had a ball watching you make a fool of yourself down there, Slapstick. Though like most balls, it was a lot more fun for the first 7 hours. If I were you and half as tired of fighting as you were of watching me, would want a way out of here. Am I right?" And he goes, "Who? Think of me like a fairy godfather, except I'll borrow money off you and not pay you back. Come to think of it, that makes me more like your real father." Anyway, the guy's in the tower. When Mike fires a missile at Slapstick after he lassoed him, Slapstick gets thrown up to the tower, pulls Mike with him, because it's Cartoon Universe, and then the Luna Marines deploy to the main turret immediately. Slapstick, who of course smashes through the wall in a slapstick pattern, gets up and says, "Wow, you actually helped us to escape." Steve, this is Mike, says, "But to where?" Says, "Beats me, ask the voices, but I don't watch that show." Says, boys, look up here. Oops, let me just turn that telepathic projector off. "Yeah, that's better. It's good to see you again, Slapstick. Don't let that go to your head. Queen Princess doesn't let me have visitors, so it's good to see anybody." It says, "Again, and you are?" It says, "Geez, Steve, that's Judas T. Flackpfizer, Scientist Supreme of Dimension X. He saved your butt from the dimensional wormhole while you were having your origin." It says, "Nope, not ringing a bell." Basically, we find out that after he was exploded, his head fell to a young scullery maid who had hands. So Dr. Flackpfizer instructed her how to build certain devices, which she used to get revenge on her wicked stepmother and her sisters, turning them into babies so that she could rule Dimension X. Anyway, the joke was on her because buried in that steaming pile, basically she needed a myth to keep everyone in line. So she created the myth of the champion and the villain, who was Slapstick. But the joke was on her because there was a kernel of truth, and it says because buried in that steaming pile of BS was a single corn kernel of truth. It says, you mean I really am a champion? It says, "That you are, Mike. When I tap into your alien brain waves, which have expended so much energy thinking about Dimension X in your comics, we can literally redraw this world." It says, "Makes perfect sense. Of course, Princess would never let me build my D-animator for fear I'd actually use it. So I tricked her into thinking it was a cappuccino maker. Also, I really wanted a cappuccino maker." Whatever. Remember? Anyway, so there's a lot of exposition in this book. Tweety birds attack. Steve gets thrown out of the castle. He grabs onto the castle with his tongue. He falls all the way down, smashes through a skylight to see the two shield agents fighting the Luna guards. He kicks the shield agents, grabs the or kicks the Luna guards, grabs the shield agents, including grabbing the buxom one by the chest area. And she says, "Watch your hand, clown. I've got a sword." And he doesn't have enough strength to pull them up, but then Dr. Fleischflacker spills hot sauce on his tongue so that it jerks him back up. They're on the thing, and they all ran up the stairs, and so the princess and the Luna guards are kind of exhausted. And then the princess pulls out of her magical cleavage a giant sword, and says, Sleps says, "Hey, your cleavage works just like my pants, huh? Yeah, when was the last time you pulled something this phallic out of your pants?" But okay. They hook up Mike to the machine. Slapstick and the princess battle. And then you hear by Ron Jeremy's ghost, "I can feel something in my pants. You hear that, world? I can feel something in my pants." You see everyone transforming back into hyper-realistic beings so that they all have dinguses again. And then but then the princess makes her an offer that, that she has a new electroplasm model I'm working on. I call it the Infinity Dingus. I can graft it onto your toon body so you can keep your powers and still be anatomically correct. Just step aside so I can squash my traitorous scientist supreme, destroy his machine, and then we will rule Dimension X together as husband and wife. You'll share my bed, but we'll have a totally open relationship. You can use the Infinity Dingus however you want. To being frustrated and miserable for most of my 20s, it feels weird that all of my dreams are now coming true all at once. But we can't let these fools deanimate Dimension X. I'll lose my power over the people. And she knocks him down, and then Slapstick grabs Gertie and her sword and clobbos the princess, and basically keeps on clobbering her with various things and drops an anvil on her, as toons are wont to do. Everyone's cheering the champion for saving Dimension X as far as they know, and we see that Tourette is now a full lady centaur and looks very interesting, but poor Steve is stuck as Slapstick. Everyone else got their dinguses back, but the effect on me was only temporary. What the heck? Julia says, "What, weren't you listening to all my exposition before? The effect works on Dimension X. You're from Earth, Bonzo. Didn't you look at your birth certificate?" I did. I had to. There was litigation involved. And she says, "Phooey," kicks his head off to the swamps where his body is, and he says, "I deserve that." And then the other agents, tells Steve that, you really did help stop the Toon invasion, so I'm sure Armor will have no problem upholding your immunity deal. And she says, "Great, just great. Then I'll probably never see Teresa again." And this is the less buxom agent. She says, "Is this still about Teresa? Listen, Steve, I think she's just not your type. For one thing, she has no sense of humor. You need a girl who appreciates who you are." And it says, "Oh, and who is that? Let's be honest. I'm out of luck. I'm not a real man anyway. I'm no badass mercenary or even a lame superhero. I'm just a bad joke, and that's all I'll ever be. Well, believe me, I've gone out with bigger losers than you. In fact, I actually think you're a catch." He says, "Me, a catch? Now there's a joke. Wait, are you hitting on me?" "Maybe. I mean, you make me laugh, and besides, that trick you did with your tongue was pretty impressive. Text me once we get back to Earth." Says, "Yeah, definitely. Sounds good. Wow, everyone in Dimension X was cured. Mike became a rock star, and I even get the girl. Maybe I shouldn't be so down on myself all the time." Meanwhile, back at Armor headquarters, we see Quasimodo in a jail cell scratching "I hate you" epitaphs on the wall of Slapstick. Him being hung, him being murdered, him being all sorts of things. Says, "Ready, 10 loop, kill Slapstick, kill Slapstick, kill Slapstick, kill Slapstick, kill Slapstick, kill. Run revenge program." That is all, folks. You know what? It was a great end to the series. I am glad I got it. I really enjoyed Slapstick this whole time. It is not a book that I would have thought I would have liked. But there is so much stuff here. It's good to read. So when it comes out collected, I highly recommend everyone pick it up. Big thumbs up for good old Slapstick.
All right. Then I guess I will go to Iron Fist number 3. It opens up in the middle of Danny's second fight with, the second opponent, the Rat of 12 Plagues. And Danny's basically infected with, whatever bubonic plague that the Rat of 12 Plagues gives you. He's fighting the rat guy, battle. He takes him out. Then he's like, let me absorb his chi, because, that's what this whole battle's about, is chi. And his young guide says, no, the rat is unclean. His chi would only serve to infect you. He says, the chi you have now is cleansing your body. And Danny says, I'm pretty sure it's already been. And then he's like, bleh! And he's not quite clean yet. And then meanwhile, the whole group that's staging this battle, they're standing around in their little temple or whatever talking. And this is interesting. I thought originally, like, they wanted to, like, overthrow Kunlun, but the way they're talking, they I guess they were originally from Kunlun, and now they're planning, like, a comeback. Because they're testing themselves against the immortal weapon of Kunlun. But they say, we will finally be on the path back to Kunlun, reclaiming the city that we love, but had to leave because of the lies and corruption.
Bum bum bum.
Yeah, wonder what that's all about. And then this next part, I swear this is influenced by the Netflix show, because Danny's like on a boat with his young guide, and the guide's asking him, why did you abandon Kun? You were the Outlander who came and usurped the position that rightfully belonged to the people of Kunlun, not the first outworlder to do so. And Danny's like, no, Kunlun was my home. They welcomed me. I wasn't an outworlder, not to them. I was one of them. Kunlun is part of me, so I'm not sure what they taught you, but it wasn't like that. But
I'm sure this is all influenced by the Netflix show.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
just the idea that there's some corruption in the base of Kunlun seems very close to what is on the Netflix show, although I haven't finished watching it yet.
Oh, but yeah, it just seems like he's just like, I didn't abandon them, and I was one of them. So yeah, that just, I mean, it's always been like that to a degree, but it just reminds me of the Netflix show. So anyway, Danny makes it to the island of the resourceful snake for his next opponent. And
the resourceful snake?
Yeah. Did you ever hear the story about the well, no, that would be the one-legged man. This guy has no arms.
He has no arms. Okay, so he's like basically armless Tiger Man?
Well, he looks normal, but I guess he's the snake because he has no arms.
Okay. There was a 1940s villain called Armless Tiger Man who hated all machines because his machines were destroyed in an accident, and then he just taught himself to kick people really hard and became quite the supervillain in the 40s, apparently.
Mm-hmm. And then Chosen's up to no good, back to fight. Danny's fighting the snake, who tells him, he's like, I became cocky and too sure of myself when I was young, and he got in a fight with Shu-Hu, who took his arms, his weapons. But my arms were only 2 weapons in my arsenal. Thankfully, I have several others. And they're fight. Danny eventually takes him down. And that's when the guy, Snake's telling him, he wasn't sure about Danny at first, but he's honored that he faced defeat from him, and he lets him take his chi willingly. Then Danny and his guide are off to the next fight, but they get ambushed. I guess somebody in the council wants to cheat and doesn't want Danny to win, so they attack him. They kill his guide. Danny says no, he was just a child. They gas.
Just a weird question here. When he takes their chi, do they die?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because I mean it's weird this taking their chi because isn't chi like connection to the universe and it recharges?
Yeah, but did it? I mean, in the first issue or two, didn't it seem like Danny was like running low with like no chi, but he seemed fine except for being like depressed and stuff. I don't know.
Fair enough.
So anyway, yes, they kill the guy. They gas Danny, tell him, the gas is going to knock him out for a while and, like, I guess, drain his chi. But then a shadowy figure comes in, beats up the group that ambushed him, and I guess right before he passes out, Danny asks him, "Who are you?" And the figure says, "Shh, do not speak. You will need every ounce of strength soon enough." Bum, bum, bum. But yeah, it was a good issue. It's a thumbs up. Oh hey, look in the letters column. There's a picture of David Wenham, who plays Harold Meacham on the show, holding a copy of the Iron Fist comic.
Oh, good for him. Yeah,
yeah, big thumbs up. All right.
I like Harold Meacham. He's a cool character.
Yeah,
honestly, I like all the Meacham characters. It's only that Danny Rand who's kind of a real downer. He's just such an annoying character.
He has his times, but I can't wait for Defenders, man.
Yes, well, we're all excited about Defenders. It was actually a Jessica Jones recut of the teaser for that came out today, which looked very cool. And awesome. And Danny just. It's cool to have everyone together, but man, Danny just does not seem to get it in that teaser.
All right, then. All right, well then I'm going to get to Spider-Man Deadpool number 17. This one, I don't know what to say about this one. It's basically, Spider-Man getting ready to go after Itsy Bitsy, and then there's the big fight, and there's like flashbacks of Deadpool telling him not to kill Itsy Bitsy, and it's just very weird. Oh, but Charlie, you'll find this interesting. Peter Parker, Spider-Man, adds a bunch of equipment to his arsenal to battle Itsy Bitsy. Guess what he uses, Charlie?
I have no idea. I'm gonna guess the power gloves of the wizard.
No, he uses the spider legs that the Superior Spider-Man used, and it looks like the gloves because they have like those clawed edges.
Claws on them.
Yeah.
Interesting.
He's using Otto's stuff, man.
Otto would not approve.
I don't know. I'm sure this isn't the case in this, but I'm just wondering if maybe Peter's going a little dark here because I wonder if there's a little Otto left in him.
Well, he's been going dark for a while now.
Yeah, I know. That's my problem with this. I'm like, get to it already. I mean, it just seems like a downward spiral. And I keep forgetting, like, stuff that happened because they keep interrupting, like they interrupted, the last two issues was, the whole thing, the whole battle with Shikla, but they keep interrupting it for stuff. But, Deadpool says he came back from hell, and Deadpool mentions to Spider-Man that there's a demon messing, who wants to mess with Spider-Man. I'm thinking, they don't call it out by name, but that has to be Mephisto, right?
Well, Mephisto has been messing with Spider-Man for a while now, so yeah, I imagine.
I know. I mean, I'm like, why don't they call him out by name? But they don't, because he tells them about how Weasel was patient zero and all this, and yada yada. I'm just like, if it is Mephisto, why is he still messing with Spider-Man? He won. That's the problem people had with that One More Day storyline where they wiped out the marriage. It's like Spider-Man sold out to the devil, and the devil won.
Yeah, but maybe he didn't really win. Maybe only Spider-Man thinks he won. Maybe with everything that's been going on with Steve Rogers, maybe Mephisto knows things are broken in the universe and things are falling back to where they once were.
Good, kills the marriage back.
Thank goodness. Yeah, we'll get to that in super connectivity.
I don't know. I mean, this issue was good, but I don't know. I think I'll still give it a 3/4 up. But yeah, just the whole, Dark Spider-Man. I'm like, okay, already, we're here. We've been here. Let's get it over with. And like I said, between like the fight and like all the talky, I don't buy a Deadpool book for all this talky.
Yeah.
Unless it's like jokes. But I think the big thing this book suffers from is it keeps losing momentum. They'll go a couple issues and then they sidetrack for an issue or two. For a crossover or this or that.
Yeah, it was a pitch that got approved before the crossover, and so they're trying to play it out, but then everything keeps on happening in everyone's life.
Yeah. So yeah, 3/4, and all right, one more this turn. I guess I'll go to the other Spider-Man book I got, Spider-Man 2099, number 23.
Yay! How was that book?
Oh, it was much better. So
is Marco back?
No.
Oh,
not this issue anyway. No, it's Miguel with the help of Sonny, the Iron Man of 2099. They set up that time portal because remember it was always set to 2099, and Miguel wanted to reset it to 2019, stop the fist attack on New York. So, and Miguel tells Sonny about. Do you know where the expression "break a leg" comes from?
Do I know? Yes, I actually do know. Okay, but where does he say it's from?
He says, "The legs are the curtains at either side of a stage. They push, and pushing past them to get on stage was called breaking them, which was hard because in the old days they were very heavy. So when you said break a leg, you were wishing someone an easy entrance onto the stage."
Oh, well, that's not what it means, but okay.
Well, I guess that's what Miguel and Peter David think.
Another interpretation is that when you do you've had a really great performance and you do a very deep bow, you put your one leg behind the other, and that's called breaking your leg. So, I think actually, then there's a third explanation, which is that if you broke your leg, that's actually really bad luck, because as an actor, you don't want to break your leg because then you can't go on stage. And then the understudy gets in and you die of sepsis and things like that. So, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why people say that you break the leg, but actually I think someone just said break a leg.
Okay.
Because it just caught on. But yes.
So anyway, Miguel goes through the time portal to 2019, but he ends up being buried in rubble. So he tells Lila to open the time portal back up. He goes back to the present. And then he tells her... reset the exit to the time vault to the exterior of Parker Industries because they're in the basement right now. So he time jumps again outside the building, and the building is just basically rubble. And then he sees like a construction guy outside, and he asks him what happened here, and the construction guy says, "I don't know, because only the supers like and they're not telling. Ask one of them."
Uh-oh.
So basically, Peter Parker destroyed the Baxter building, I'm thinking. Good job.
Parker!
And then the construction worker's too busy to talk because he's trying to catch all the Digiman on his phone.
Oh, Digimans.
No, gotta catch them all.
That was like 6 months ago.
Well, who knows when Peter David wrote this.
It was a simpler time. It was a simpler time, the Digimons. Or actually the Pokemons, but not the Digimans. So.
Simpler times when those are the only orange creatures we had to worry about.
But okay.
So Miguel takes off. He asks Lila for the time. She says 7:57 a.m. Eastern time, and Miguel thinks Electro said the attack's at high noon, so he has some breathing room. So he clings to a building, goes all camouflage and waits. And then right before 12, he's checking, what is this, the Times Square? Yeah, I think so. And he sees someone down on the street that in what looks like his old costume, and he's like, oh, wait, now they're using my costume to, try to sell pictures in Times Square.
Wait, this is 2019, right?
Yes.
But that's...
I know, well, we'll get there.
Okay. So
but then,
because he's the 2099. Oh, but then he went back in time. Okay, I see.
well,
I'm following.
we'll get there. But
Okay.
so then Miguel's looking and he sees someone he knows. He's like, you got to be kidding me. He goes down, and of course, it's his father, Tyler Stone.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you're going to release
He's young and beautiful.
No, because I think he traveled. I don't know, but he tells him you're going to release a toxin, a virus that will kill millions, and then Tyler says, yes, that's right. Would you like to see it? And he pulls it out. He says, so many people feared the end would come from a nuclear weapon launched by the North Koreans or detonated by religious extremists or some such. But no, this is what starts it. Miguel asks him why, and he says, is that what you expect what will happen? I'll lay out for you my plans, my motivations, my reasons. Perhaps you'll be able to make me see the light. And Miguel's like, perhaps. And Tyler says, I'm dying, Spider-Man. Cancer, terminal, even in our year. What kind of reorients your thinking? And Tyler says, you're not going to stop me before I drop this vow. You'll be too busy. And Miguel says, busy with what? And that's when the Doc Ock of 2099 attacks him. And that's when Tyler's saying, keep him alive for at least a couple moments. I want him to see people die. I won't, of course, and neither will Doc O. All of us are fitted with special breathing devices in our nostrils. Perhaps your costume will protect you. That's when Tyler gets hit with, looks like a beam of light. And that's when Miguel webs the vow. He webs it like up on the side of a building. And as Ock and Spider-Man are fighting, Ock says, Venom, if you please. And that's when Venom 2099 goes after the vow. But he is attacked by, they call her Honeybee. She looks like some kind of like weird insect woman. But Miguel says, wait, is that Tempest?
Bum bum bum.
So maybe Tyler's treatment does, maybe that's the only way he could save her legs. So she grabs the vow, but then Tyler shoots her with something in the back. She goes down, and Tyler grabs the vow again, and he says, I believe that's mine, and now it's time to end this. And the voice says, I agree, and you see a big claw come through Tyler's chest from behind. And the voice says, I'll take that, thanks. Okay, well, that settled that. And that's when Tyler says, is that what you think? Asa, can you hear me? And she says, I hear you, Tyler, go ahead. He says, unleash New York. And the woman says, attention, New York, destroy Spider-Man and his amazing friends. And all the people start going crazy. But the figure with the claw was, remember the guy Miguel says, hey, who's that in my original costume? So he just thought it was some tourist in his costume, but I guess it's another version of him from some point in time.
Yep, because he failed this time, so he went back to you're going to have an army of Spider-Man, I think. Because he just had to keep on coming back to fix the problem.
Yeah, I know. But this was a good issue. It was a thumbs up.
They stole that gag from Squirrel Girl, by the way. Okay. Was that your last book, Phil?
Yeah, that was 3.
Okay. Well, you could do 4 if you want, and then do 3 after. But either way.
I think I got 3 and 3 because my last one is Secret Empire, which we both got. So.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Keep on going back and forth on that. Anyway, so I have got Champions number 8, Fallout. We see all the Champions merch for sale. Some of it in primary colors, but you do see purple and green, which we all know are the colors of super villains. Bum, bum, bum. We see Ms. Marvel throwing a hissy fit on top of a building that has been luckily abandoned. There are so many abandoned buildings around for superheroes to smash into. You ever notice that?
New York.
But basically, Miguel and Kamala are fighting. In comes Nova. He asks if she's under mind control, and she's saying, let me go. She says she got her second wind, and then they collapse through the roof, and then she just starts crying, and then they're like, oh, man, this went too far, and they untie her. And she's just really, she smashes through the wall. She pushes them away. Says, I'm mad that I could have stopped this. Meaning the trademarking of the Champions logo by the freelancers and them making money off of it, and everyone, and basically the Champions feel awful about this, you know. And Kamala says, I lost control of the narrative. And he says, and Miguel says, it means that, like idiots, we let the freelancers hijack the story of the Champions. We built something important. It was so awesome to see people around the world unite behind our symbol to fight for good things. But I didn't protect it, and now the freelancers stole it, and they're slapping it on commercial products, which people now think we endorse and profit from. Now we're just opportunists in their eyes. You see people being mad about how much they're charging for the Champion merchandise. You see a kid in his Champion gear. Actually, I guess he's watching TV. So maybe he's, happily being a champion, but, also being somewhat of a ne'er-do-well. We see people going online. It says Champions fan page. Someone types in disgusted. Fans are horrified to find out their heroes are sellouts. And you get a app says, thank you for using the Champion app. You are now being redirected to our online store. We see Cyclops talking to the Avengers, saying, we're very disappointed in all of you, Cyclops. We've been watching you kids from the start. We had faith in your champions. It was misplaced. Carol says, you didn't think. Why didn't you think? Hercules says, and Jet, your survival depends upon Jet. He says, but we did. You can't prepare for every contingency in battle, but and Jet, your survival depends on just that. Richard Rice says, under whose guidance you went? Says, we were capable of learning Hercules, and we will continue to do so. And he says, under whose guidance you went off on your own, and now you can't hack it. And then Vision says, comprehend the difference between knowledge and wisdom. If you don't, you can't. If you cannot, it says, okay, cut. And you see Viv projecting these holograms of everyone, and Cyclops is, says, I don't know exactly what I'm going to say to the Avengers when they come down on us for letting our image get soured, which they will. But the X-Men have what we called a danger room where we run combat scenarios over and over practice. None of them involve the Vision who says "do." Says, I apologize. Since the deaths in my family, I have endeavored to cope by suppressing my emotions. Perhaps it's time I reasserted them. Hulk hears this, thinks about their kiss, decides to muscle Slim out of the way so that he can talk to Viv. They have a conversation. He's like, says, oops, sorry. You'd think I'd know my own strength by now, because he's ripping things apart, but a bag of popcorn. And she says, I can calculate it when you apply gravitational force to the formula F equals ma. And says, I was being sarcastic. Also, I did the math months ago. Anyway, they're having the conversation, and then he asks if you want to explore what you said you want to explore your emotions. Does that include us? And she says we could, except Amadeus, I've been analyzing my feelings surrounding that moment for some time now. Similarly, I have been processing the emotional effects of various other stimuli, and while I have yet to thoroughly acquaint myself with a full enough sampling of sexual and gender identities as to yet determine my own, an attraction to boys is nowhere within me. I do not wish to injure your feelings. And Amadeus gives her a hug because, you did, says, and he says, you didn't, you just gave me new ones. Come here. You know what? I want for you to be happy. Aww. Yeah. Okay. We'll take it for what it is. The Vision shows up. He's not happy with Viv because she's not communicating And it says, you can sense me inside the internet just as I can sense you. You did not make me, because she says, I've been available for communication. Says, that is not the same. You can sense me inside the internet just as I can sense you. It says, do not make me repeat myself. It says, my friends need me, and are we in fact under scrutiny by the Avengers? And he says, oh yes. The Hulk and Cyclops sit together. And she asks if you have any robots that they can beat up on, and he says, you and me? He says, that's what I said. I thought you barely tolerated me. I said, I thought you barely tolerated me. Come on, you have any... Oh, and then Cyclops says to the Hulk, come on, you have any robots in this place? There's something I've been wanting to try. And it says, and he blasts the Hulk with an eye blast to throw him. And he says, yes, we need a name for this movie. He says, how about the Fastball Special? Says Cyclops. Says, bad news, Slim. Anyway, they gather together. They see a bunch of fans burning all their champions' merchandise. And Miles says, they've already forgotten the good things we've been a part of. Why are they so quick to trash us? And then you hear, because I asked them to. And it's Nova. And he he shows him this post he put on YouTube or MeTube or MeFace or something of that nature, because they can't call it YouTube. And it says, "Hi, see this? That's champion merchandise you've all been wearing. How are symbols for sale now on backpacks and hoodies and bracelets and whatever. How it's become multi-million-dollar cash machine. It's all garbage." And he blasts the shirt. Says, this isn't us. We do not endorse this. We would never put a price tag on what this symbol means to all of us. Yeah, we got merchandise. Somebody took advantage of us, and we're sorry that happened. But we're going to fight back, and you can too. Boycott this junk. If you want to spend money, I'm going to link to some solid charities you should check out and blast this video wide. So what if someone's so what if this is someone's trademark now? A trademark isn't a movement. Don't be a target for some skeeves out to make a fast buck. Just be yourself. Be a champion. And then Kamala hugs him. She repeatedly says, I love you. I guess meet cute, whatever. And and then Viv says, do we know if Nova's speech actually served its function? Is it possible our fans are simply angry and burning us in effigy? Miles says, only one way to find out. Ready? And he drags Cyclops down, puts him in the middle of everything. And he says, say hi to our fan club, Sim. Everyone starts thanking him because they're all very happy. Someone says a trademark isn't a movement. I wish I had said that. I guess that was Amadeus saying that, because I love you is what Kamala says. She repeats that several more times. Then Viv goes back home, and all of a sudden she can't get out of the house because she is grounded. Bum, bum, bum. It's still a solid book. It's still a fun book. I give it a thumbs up. I enjoy the champions. I mean, their teen drama is a little, it's a little weird right now, but I guess they're just finishing up this story so we can move into what the champions are in the Secret Empire, which is the force for good in the Marvel universe. So, big thumbs up for that.
All right, then I guess I will go to Nova number 6.
Oh, nice tie-in.
Yes. But you remember last issue ended, Rich Rider went back to the Cancerverse and found out the World Mind's in there. And it looks like the World Mind's like on all the evil versions of Thanos is always evil, but he's on Thanos, Giant Man, Thor, Captain America. And Rich says, World Mind, I don't understand. And World Mind says, it's quite simple, Richard. You left me, so I adapted. And Rich says, I don't know. I didn't know that's not how it happened. And World Mind says, then how did it happen, Richard? How did you survive? And then we get the whole scene from Guardians of the Galaxy 20 where Rich uses a cosmic cube to send Peter Quill and Thanos back to our universe. And he was trapped in the Cancerverse. So him and World Mind were talking. World Mind said he had always been impressed by Richard all these years. Through every heartbreak and tragedy, you survive, you adapt, you endure. So So they're talking. That's when they get it. Yeah, Rich and Worldmind are talking in the Cancerverse. That's when they get ambushed by the Revengers, the evil version of the Avengers. And Rich is fighting, and he keeps getting killed, but nothing dies in the Cancerverse, so he keeps coming back to life and keeps getting killed and keeps coming back to life. So eventually, Rich runs for the cube, the cosmic cube. I guess is basically depowered, and Worldmind says, "What are you doing?" And Rich says, "Please, I'm sorry." And the World Mind says, "You emptied everything into the cube. You were so desperate to escape that you sacrificed the entire Nova Force and me. You powered the cube. You found a way, but I wonder as you escaped, could you hear me?" And because they show World Mind going, "Richard, please, please don't leave me." Says you escaped, but no one leaves the Cancerverse, not without bringing something with them. That's why he has that purple stuff, and he's been infected by the Cancerverse. And Worldmind says, "And me? Well, I'm like you, Richard. I survived. I adapted." And they showed, I guess, Worldmind took control of, like, everyone there, at least Thanos and the Avengers, all the Revengers. And he says, "Now I am much more than I ever was." And Rich said he's sorry, and Worldmind says, he says, "I didn't know," and Worldmind says, "You did, you just didn't care, but you were right about one thing. You're the door, and now thanks to you, the door to your world is open to us. You've done enough. The seed was planted in you when you left, and now it's grown." And that's when the purple tentacles holding Richard get blasted. It's Sam. He says, "Step the bleep away from him, you bleep robot nerd." And he says, "Rich, let's get out of here, Rich." And then Sam gets blasted, and Worldmind says, "I don't think Richard is going with you. Rich is exactly where he needs to be." And Rich Rider looks all infected by the purpley Cancerverse stuff. Because next issue, Nova versus Nova. Dun dun dun. This was a really good one. This was a big thumbs up for me.
Very cool, man.
So, keeping it cosmic, I guess I will go to all new Guardians of the Galaxy #1.
Okay.
Begins on the planet Cetopia, which I guess I don't know if they're like kind of like a universal bank or something, but there's two aliens. One I assume works for the bank and is telling the other one. The other one's complaining about the prices are too high, and the banker says, "Perhaps your valuables require less security than the most impenetrable fortress in the galaxy. I regret my prices firm." Then a big shadow show. You see a big shadow, and then everyone, "It's Galactus, devourer of worlds," and everyone's running for ships and leaving the planet. And after most of them are gone, you see this little voice come from Galactus. "This is the dumbest thing I've ever done. All right, coast is clear." Galactus's head splits in half, and the Guardians of the Galaxy pop out. I guess they have they have some kind of ship or something that's in the shape of Galactus.
I'm sure it was all well planned.
Yeah, I guess it was Rocket's plan. Because Star-Lord says, "I never doubted you for a second, Rocket." And Gamora's like, "You tried to bet me that Rocket's plan would fail." So they're going into this bank, and then there's an alien in there, and he sees them run up and says, "Who are you?" And Rocket says, "Vault inspectors. Didn't they tell you?" And the alien's like, "It's a heist. Galactus was a ruse. We're being hit." And he's shooting at them. And that's when Rocket throws, looks like a little wooden ball at him, and he says, "Say hello to my little friend." And I guess Star-Lord says, how have you seen Scarface?" And Rocket says, "What's a Scarface?" And then the ball gets the alien, and it's Baby Groot. And the alien says, "Huh, nice to meet you. I'm the one that's going to kill your friends, you little." And that's when Gamora kicks the alien in the jaw and knocks him out. And then it looks like they're freezing the vault door to break. And Peter asks Drax, he says, "I know this wall hasn't done anything to hurt you, but is your newfound pacifism going to stop you from doing your part?" And Drax says, "You joke, but destroying even a simple thing like a wall may have untold consequences, as we will see together." So he breaks the vault door. Peter grabs the box they were after. They get back in Galactus and take off. They all complain the Galactus ship has no seats. They get back to the Milano. And they're all doing their thing, waiting for their contact. And they would wait for hours at the contact point, but no one showed up until a giant, looks like a space fish, swallows the ship. And I guess it's basically the ship of the person who hired them, Charlie. And once they get in there, they meet the figure who says, "For those of you that are not acquainted, I am the Grand Master. Welcome to the most exquisite private collection in the galaxy. And thank you for adding to it." And Peter says, "Wow, this has to rival the collector's collection." And the Grand Master says, "In fact, it exceeds that gaudy hack's accumulation of baubles." Alright, so then the Grand Master pulls out this little glowing ball. Drax says, "I thought we were just helping secure a terrible weapon." And he says, "Indeed you have. What if the tachyon bubbles sealing the perfect baby universe were impaired or disrupted? Your entire universe would explode as this one rapidly expanded to take its place. This was an excellent test of your skills. Now it's time for the real challenge." And Gamora's like, "Explain yourself." Peter just wants paid. And the Grandmaster says, "You're going to infiltrate the collector's collection and retrieve my most sought-after grail piece, the Hadjurian monarch egg." And they're like, "No, the hell we are." And he says, "Oh, but you already have..." And Rocket says, "We're not going to steal from the collector. That's suicide." And he says, "But you already have stolen from the collector. This universe was sold to him. It would be most unfortunate if he were to learn of your transgressions." So they're like, "Oh, we've been double-crossed." Gamora tries to attack the Grandmaster, and of course that goes as well as expected. He says, "You will receive a fortune and a valuable secret in return for my 2 prizes." And they say, "I guess it looks like we're sticking together just for a while." Because I guess the Guardians weren't planning on sticking together. They're still mad at Quill, I guess. And then at the end of the issue, they're all back on the ship, and Gamora's asking Rocket why Groot is still small. She's like, "Groot is always regenerated after losing limbs. Why is he not now?" And Rocket says, "We don't know." He says, "You've all been so preoccupied, you guys haven't noticed, but something's wrong with the little guy. He's not sick, he's just not, well, he's not himself after we were attacked. He's weak. He has to sleep a lot, and he's barely grown any since the attack." And the final scene is some shadowy figure. It looks like he's planting a bunch of sticks on an alien planet. I don't know if that's pieces of Groot, because Rocket's like, "It looks like someone's robbing Groot of his strength." And the figure's like, "All of you, grow up big and strong." Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum.
So, yeah, it was thumbs up. I mean, good issue. Then this is off the book, but it's interesting. It has my attention. It's a thumbs up.
No comment on Bendis.
All right, and my last book on my own, X-Men Gold #3. I thought Old Man Logan had taken out all the Brotherhood, but he's still fighting them here. And
have you done a pick of the week yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Have you?
Well, mine's kind of defaulted, but yeah.
I was going to say, I think we're going to have the same pick of the week.
That's okay.
All right. So Magma takes out Old Man Logan. Then they show the X-Men going to rescue him, and like the younger students want to go with them. And Kitty Pryde says, "Just rock slide and armor." And she says, "You know I picked you two, right?" And Rockslide says, "Aesthetic beauty and sheer awesomeness." And Armor says, "Our power sets blend force strength with defensive capability, so she doesn't have to get distracted worrying about us." So they fly to where the Brotherhood has their headquarters, which looks like an abandoned factory that used to be owned by Worthington Industries. That's been condemned. So yeah, the X-Men split up to try to find Logan, but Storm and Rockslide find Old Man Logan, and he's been brainwashed by Mesmero. Because Kitty tells Nightcrawler to get the mayor of New York who's been kidnapped out. And the Rockslite's like, oh, sure, save the mayor and leave me to deal with the old guy. Then she tells Prestige to try to find Mesmero, which she does. Everyone's taking down the Brotherhood. Even old Storm has to zap Old Man Logan with some lightning to take him down since he's been hypnotized. Prestige is fighting Mesmero, and she finally takes him down. She said, they're like, that was fast. She's like, please, this guy's amateur hour, but I pulled an interesting tidbit from his mind. The whole place is rigged to explode. So Kitty says, Kurt, we need a violent extraction. And Armor's like, what's a violent extraction? And as the Blackbird comes crashing through the wall. Then Kitty finds Magma, and she's like, I don't know what's real anymore. She says, we took down Mesmero, you're fine. She's like, stay back. Come to get you out of here. And Magma's like, stay back. And the place is about to explode, so Kitty tells the rest of them to get to the Blackbird and get away from the explosion. She stays with Magma, the place blows up, but of course Kitty phased them both, so the explosion went through both of them. Then later, the X-Men hand over most of the Brotherhood to S.H.I.E.L.D. That's probably not a good idea these days. They kept the weird-looking lizard guy, though. Then the X-Men are talking, and Prestige tells them all of the Brotherhood were being manipulated by Mesmero, but Mesmero was paid to form this group of mutants and commit acts of terror. Kidnapping the mayor was to lead us into the trap, but there was a larger agenda. And Kitty's like, who paid Mesmero? And of course, I saw this coming from issue 1. It's Lydia Nance, the woman who was on TV screaming about mutants the last 2 or 3 issues.
Of course.
And then, the whole last thing is just like, why'd you do it? And well, Kitty's like, you kidnapped the mayor, and Lydia Nance is like, with what proof? I think she says, even this conspiracy theory about me creating a mutant terrorist group is preposterous. And Colossus says, it won't be. S.H.I.E.L.D. has the rest of your Brotherhood in custody. And she says, I think you'll find that they won't have much memory of their actions. And even if they did, what's the word of a mutant worth against that of a human? And a widely respected one at that. Do the math. Imagine how ludicrous it sounds to suggest that a public advocate against mutants would align herself with them, particularly after another mutant group has broken into her house, assaulted her security staff, and threatened her. Kitty says, well, I haven't actually gotten around to threatening you yet. She goes, Rachel? And Prestige uses her telekinesis to lift her off the ground. She says, okay, now I'm threatening you. You think you're clever, you're not. You think you're holding all the cards, you don't. There's going to come a moment when you screw up and you're revealed for the bigot you are. We're going to be there. We're going to take you down hard. And Lydia Nance says, you're particularly naive. Who do you think you are, after all? And Kitty says, we're the X-Men. Bum, bum, bum.
Yay, X-Men.
And next issue, Gambit.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Okay. And finally, that brings us to what is, I guess, both our pick of the weeks. Secret Empire, #1.
That's right.
$4.99 book. A lot of pages, so worth it. I do like this book. This is actually a really good book. We both noted that on the cover we see in the split screen kind of Roger's head's looking a lot like a Red Skull there. Although you'll notice he doesn't have an eye. So that is another weird thing I just noticed just now, that it is a Red Skull, but he doesn't have an eyeball behind that socket. So it looks much more like a Death's head. We open up in Greensboro, a young boy being dropped off at school by his older brother. They all hail Hydra at the opening of class. Kids in a Captain America and Hive shirt. The teacher is explaining history. They discuss the Great Illusion. At the end of the war, as they were facing total defeat, the Allied powers committed an unconscionable atrocity, a crime against all humanity. They used a cosmic cube to rewrite history. Huh. Interesting. It does strike me as interesting.
I was going to say, except for the cosmic cube part, this reminds me of the framework.
Oh, it's exactly like the framework. Yes. This is very much the framework. Except that in that case, it wasn't after the end of the war that Hydra took over. It was just that Hydra was able to take over after the Stamford incident. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting to me is just how quickly everyone sort of shifted in this. You know what I mean? It just seemed like everyone just accepted Steve Rogers' story, even though we know everybody has different memories. So I don't know if it's just speaking to that deep desire for fascism that burns bright in the hearts of every man, woman, and child, or what. We see Captain Marvel sending a transmission to Earth. Letting people know that, they have been tricked and that they are locked outside of the Earth. But now the next wave of the Chitauri are coming. We have a young man running away from Hydra agents, and then a young Asian child says, hey, dude, over here. They both start running together, and they say, what are you running from? Says, I was supposed to meet someone from the underground, but they didn't show. Oh, that makes sense. It says, the underground does that. If they're setting up a meeting with someone that they don't know, they rat them out to Hydra monitor the chatter. So how would they do that? To make sure it's not a trap. Then he hulks out, smashes the ground, knocks over all the Hydra agents. We see the young Wasp and Viv show up, as well as Jaquin, the
new Falcon.
The Falcon. Yeah, the new Falcon. Gather everyone together. Because the Dreadnoughts are coming, they have to get away. They all hop in the Fantastic Car. I'm not sure who's driving the Fantastic Car. And then this is actually a pretty cool scene because we see the great monster risen from the depths to devour humans. Ha ha ha! And then basically, Steve Rogers explaining that you will leave because I have a meeting to go to, and I love this. He says, I understand who you think we are and why you think you can come here and threaten the people who live in this city. It's hard to blame you, really. For years, this was treated like some kind of game. Men and women in garish costumes would come and chase you away, maybe try to lock you in some cage until you inevitably escaped. So I need to assure you that that is no longer the case, that I speak for the glory of Hydra now. And in Hydra, we value strength and order above everything else. There is no order in this, which means if you don't take my offer, you will never leave the street as anything besides a trophy. And then, the monster refuses to accept his thing. And then, of course, he assembles the Avengers, including Odin's son, Scarlet Witch, Superior Octopus, as well as Deadpool and Black Ant and Taskmaster, and the Vision, and they defeat the monster. Bum, bum, bum. Then we get news reports of the monster being captured. Violent crime is down nearly 75% since Hydra saved the country. We see in market news today, Dr. Faustus was on hand to celebrate the Malik exchange, hitting new heights, breaking the record set last month as investors cheered falling unemployment thanks to a new stimulus spending, courtesy of the Hydra Works program. 3 more shovel-ready projects were announced, including the Dreadnought manufacturing facility in Little Rock, expected to create over 2,000 new jobs. We see the Gorgon and Hive leaning over someone who is signing a new trade deal. The Hydra, new age in Hydra Pacific relations, which will surely be a topic of conversation this afternoon as the Hydra High Council convenes to discuss national defense. And we see everyone sitting around talking. We see, they discuss how we've been able to nearly double the number of Inhumans we can hold in indefinite custody. The mutant sovereign republic of New Tishan is not to be trusted. And he says, great. Well, if that's all, it says, actually, Supreme Leader, there's one more item, a late addition, the incident in Nevada. Then we cut to Nevada, and we see Spider-Man and Riri, and I guess it was Riri driving the Fantastic car. They're all driving out, flying out of Las Vegas. The hyperdrive isn't working, so Riri has to fix it on the fly. And Faustus is saying, underground fighters absconded with a high-level suspect, destroyed property, and evaded arrest. Not only that, but what happens in this Vegas, it no longer stays in the Vegas. And that is the saying, yes. What he means is it amassed 50 million YouTube views in 6 minutes before the state censors took it down. I told you we shouldn't have let them keep the internet. Says, let's issue a statement then. Supreme Leader, this is Faustus. If I may be so bold, the time to issue statements is past. It is time to make a statement that someone in the city even felt they could upload such a video. Faustus is correct. Offenses in this municipality continue to multiply. 3 underground fighting incidents just this week, and intelligence chatter suggests they're planning something larger. Says, Helmet, you're being quiet. The underground grows there because it is nurtured there. The people offer them a safe harbor and feel as if they are protected by them in return. A dangerous symbiosis. Yes, and this is Zola talking, yes, and one that might not be so quick to emerge had we not so rashly issued a pardon to all the civilian rebel fighters on the so-called Day of Peace. Cap says it was the right thing to do. He's not going to establish a prison state. And Zola says, yes, and look where that got us now. Helmet stands up to him and says, watch your tongue, Zola. It dances on the edge of disobedience. They say that we cannot let this go unpunished. Each time something like this happens, we observe an increase in underground recruitment. They do not fear as they should. We must show them that is an error. And we will once the day of reckoning arrives and they see the consequences of traitors suffer. So, and of course, Ola says that is assuming it ever comes. 3 times these executions have been scheduled and 3 times they have been delayed, Supreme Leader. Will you at last show your power? Meanwhile, the Fantastic Car comes back to a secret base that was formerly owned by, who were those guys?
The Pantheon.
The Pantheon. Yay, the Pantheon. The thing opens the doors. And he says, no problem, kiddo. Tell me you didn't get a scratch on her. Says, Scratch, how could you tell on this respirator? Says, come on now. Don't you go knocking the Fantastic car. She may not be pretty, but she ain't never let me down. And Mimi says, the boost drive died out, and I had to fix, and I had about 30 seconds to fix it before the dreadnoughts got us. It says, now that you mention it, she is getting up there in years. And Natasha says, well, that's the dilemma, aren't we all? And all the young heroes are very excited to see her. And then Hawkeye shoots an arrow and, saying, supply run. Oh, crap. We forgot the supplies. That'll leave a scratch. Do you guys get the plan, what the word hideout means? Should it not be hide in? We're trying to keep a low profile here. That's pretty hard to do. When you idiots keep doing stuff like this, and shows them the YouTube image of them escaping the dreadnoughts. Hawkeye's basically saying they have civilians here. Says, Amadeus says anything's better than just sitting around in that cave waiting to die. Well, if you mind the wait, then hey, hold on a second. Who is he? He says, don't worry, he's cool. We met him on the internet. Spy. Says Barton and Natasha. He basically has some data that he wants to give them. It was something that was given to him by someone who said, but the guy who gave them to me, he said they'd change everything. He said they could win the war. Yeah, and who was this guy? And he said his name was Rick Jones. They say, take him to the trunk. Meanwhile, you have Cap and Sharon having a delightful meal. And Sharon really is not feeling this. And basically says, the real Steve Rogers would know this is not you. Steve was trying to say, I am the real Steve Rogers. Then prove it. Do at least one thing that I would recognize. One thing that reminds me of the man I loved. You see him go to talk to Rick to tell him, and he says, we put you in a nice apartment. And now you're back in this prison. Says, yeah, one of your guys has a guessable iPhone passcode, right? And from there, it only took you 3 minutes to hack in and steal the most valuable files in Hodges' possession. Impressive. But now I need you to tell me who you gave them to. Says, hey, since you're answering questions, let me ask you. When I used to dress up as Bucky, did that ever get weird for you? Because at times, I will admit, it got a little weird for me, says Rick. I know that all of you think I've become some kind of monster, but I don't enjoy any of this. I don't want to see the people I care for suffer or die. But I'm not the only person who matters here. If I'm seen as doing any special favors, if I don't hold myself to the same principles I ask everyone to uphold, then all of this collapses under the weight of that hypocrisy. Says, so if you won't give me the information I at least need you to announce the act. I have to be able to tell people you're sorry. Do you understand? That's what's done what's done is past. I don't give a damn if you mean it, Rick. I just need you to say it. I need you to say the words. Hail Hydra. And he goes, I've fallen in love for the first time, and this time I know it's for real. Says, I'll come back. Listen, buddy, whatever they did to you, I know you're going to beat it, okay? I'm not going to give up on you. You always come out on top in the end, and you know how I know that? Because you're my hero, Cap. That was sweet. Roz, the new giant man, takes Rayshawn, the young man, to meet the drunk. And the drunk is AI Tony Stark. So now we know that actually Tony Stark is still AI. Oh, and yes. We see that he's wearing so this is what's weird. He's wearing the gloves to give himself hands, but the gloves are moving with his hologram body. Really doesn't make a lot of artists. And basically Rayshawn gives him the phone that Rick Jones, or the information that Rick Jones was able to get to him, and Tony throws it on. And first off, Tony says, look, I'm not drunk. It's just a subroutine in my program.
That's what Charlie Esser always says.
Exactly. Tony throws the data to the side. He says, hey, what are you doing? You're supposed to look at this. Says, what? That? I would, but that's the Thursday pile, and this is Monday. Is it now? He says, is it? Wow. Anyway, on Thursday, it will get my undivided attention so long as no one attractive walks by while I'm looking at it. In the meantime, I have to focus my energies on the latest contribution to mankind, getting the air conditioning working in this place. I'm not a major crisis for the non-corporeal set like myself, but we are in the desert, and apparently Tigra is shedding all over everything. Did you not hear me? I said this could fix Captain America. Isn't he supposed to be your best friend or something? It was actually a pretty complicated relationship. Come on. Okay, yeah, he was. And then he played us. But there's a chance. Oh, a chance, right? I remember those, like when there was a chance. He was a clone, so we attacked the groundbreaking ceremony to expose him. There were 89 casualties that day. He's not a clone, by the way. By the time, or there was the chance he was mind-controlled, so we raided Dr. Faustus's institute to try and free him. 116 casualties. Got that one wrong, too. It says, but Rick Jones has been sitting in a prison cell since before the attack even started. You were catfished, pal. It happens to the best of us. I could tell you some stories. Wait, how old are you? The point is, I get this stuff every day. Look around you, kid. Does this place look like we're about to go save the world? Avengers Mansion had considerably less exposed plumbers. We're not superheroes anymore. We're just fugitives. Just people who remember a little too well. Anyway, Mondays. The mission is save each other, save yourself, survive. Less ambitious, but somehow still not entirely successful, surprisingly enough. And besides, this is my lab, which means my rules. If you don't like it, talk to the landlord. See Natasha and Hank talking about, if they were too hard on them. He says, when I was their age, I was a programmed assassin. Clint says, and I was in the circus, and who can say which is worse? They can't keep being so dang reckless, Nat. If they do, everything you built, so stop. No, listen to me, Barton. You keep carrying all this on your shoulders, it's gonna screw up your posture. You did it, okay? After Chicago, I thought this was over, but you found this spot. You brought us here. You make it work. You'd run every day. Whatever hope these people have, however safe they feel, any normalcy they're able to carve out, you did that. So maybe stop worrying about your issues with millennials or water filtration systems and take a second to let yourself feel good about it. Yeah.
Looks like they're back in a relationship.
Yeah, definitely looks like that. Then we cut to... it says close your eyes because Nat's going to kiss him, but then we see Stephen Strange battling in the darkness, and we see Elisa getting basically kicked out of New York City. She says, this Doctor Strange is a powerful sorcerer, but the dark dimension binds him. Greetings, Supreme Leader. And basically Elisa and Steve have a nice heart-to-heart where basically, he says there's disloyalty in our ranks. Zola, Faustus, they plot against us. We never should have brought them in. She says we needed them at the time. Everything comes with a cost. Oh, everything comes with a cost. Remember those words. But what if it's too much? What if, it says, my little soldier, I wonder if it's all this doubt that is the real source of your gifts. You have always been so brave, braver than any man I have ever known. You survived across two worlds in nearly a century to bring us here. You built something glorious, the beginning of an empire. But you must remember that it is only the beginning. We are seeking more than a nation, more than this world even. It says, you mean the cosmic cube. Your destiny is to find it and restore the world that was, to put right all that was taken from Hydra. The rest of this, who lives, who dies, is nothing but a distraction. You must remember that. These foolish men, they have sought to challenge your power. So now show them your strength. Show them how you stand apart and above. It is time to reclaim what is ours. And we see Stephen addressing the nation as Rick Jones is led to a firing squad, and he shouts, he shouts, Avengers assemble! As he is shot and dies. We see the alarm comes off. We see all the heroes go out to fight it. Oh, look, Wonder Man and Stingray. Oh, boy.
Well, I think, Wonder Man's coming back in Uncanny Avengers, so.
Oh, sweet. The nightmare was just the beginning. And I guess this is Sharon talking again. In that moment, they would show us just what they were capable of, how powerless we were in the face of it. This was our breaking point. This was where their empire began. And we see them basically blowing up Las Vegas for some reason. Just to be a jerk, I guess. Okay, and that was Secret Empire number 1.
Pick of the week, big thumbs up.
Yeah, honestly, I will say, man, it is a big thumbs up. There is so much going on in this book. And honestly, it was $4.99, and this is one of the times I'm going to tell you, it was worth $4.99. This was a book. Kids, go out there, buy it. If you haven't already, I
And
know you get all these people down on Nick Spencer's run, but I tell you, this is some really deep and powerful writing.
yeah,
You
and
know.
bonus if you haven't gotten your books this week yet, the digital codes are back, people.
Oh yes, they are. They are back, and they're back. They're back again. So
So
yeah, input your digital codes, enjoy them, have fun with them,
go get them,
and
Stockton.
yes. And we'll see you all again next week, I guess. Any
But
final thoughts tonight, Phil?
I was gonna say, I know we're probably long, but remember we were talking to one day privately about. I don't know if they said something about out of this event we might get someone resurrected, and I said, "Oh, what if it's the original Captain Marvel?" But I
Oh
guess
yes, yes.
I think I saw an article today. It might have been CBR. It was one of them, and it's
Hmm.
whoever the author was saying that was like their theory that could this that link I sent you could this lead to the return of Captain Marvel and
Well, yeah, well, it could lead to the return of a lot of things.
oh
Well, and honestly, I think that there's some tie into that in what there's this interesting thing about what Elisa is saying to Steve about finding the cosmic cube and putting the world right. And it's such a weird phrase because she's saying to give Hydra back everything they lost. I don't know, man. I can't help but think that there's more to this story than that. I don't know. I think that getting the cube back together, finding Kobik, which of course, spoiler, well, not a spoiler, but obviously to anyone who's read these books, that's what's on the freaking phone that Rayshawn gives to Tony that Tony is just ignoring because he's a dimwit.
well yeah it's probably
He basically said,
it's probably well yeah didn't he say it was from Selvig? It's probably like Selvig's like diary or something.
yeah.
The Kobik's all over it.
Well, yeah. Well, and that's the thing is like Selvig said before he blows himself up that this was his information that he was giving Kobik the chance to reform.
Mm-hmm.
So he scattered the pieces so they could reform and blew himself up. But obviously, this is what they were doing. This is what the plan was to get that information to Tony Stark so he can gather it together. But yeah, I mean, and as far as bringing someone back, what's going to happen next? We don't know. And we'll talk about that in super connectivity because that's a super connection, and that's what we do on super connectivity.
Yes. All right. I guess that's it then, huh?
Yeah, you want me to give my social media? Do you want to give yours or?
You can give yours. Go ahead.
Okay, well, if you want to write to me in that old-fashioned email way, you can always reach me at superconnectivityblog@gmail.com. That's superconnectivityblog, all one word, @gmail.com. And, of course, follow me on the Twitters as I live tweet Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and other things, including The Incredible Hulk, 7 o'clock on Saturdays, at Charlie Esser. That's CharlieEsser. Look for the 2 E's right there in the middle for quality.
All right, everyone. And remember, time is running out. The all-new Marvel Roundup will be done after this month, but never fear. Me, Charlie, along with Wolf and Tyler will be talking comic books, Marvel, DC, heck, any comic book, any movies, TV shows, on our new podcast, Capes and Lunatics. So get in on the ground floor now, so you'll be there day one. Follow us, Capes and Lunatics at gmail.com. Facebook is facebook.com/Capes and Lunatics. Twitter is @Capes Lunatics. Instagram, Capes and Lunatics. We even have a board on Pinterest, Capes and Lunatics Podcast. And share your thoughts with us. We have voicemail. You can talk to us, well, kind of directly. Come on, Stockton Piner, let's hear your voice. The voicemail is 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And as for me, you can always discuss any of this nonsense with me, nightwingpdp@gmail.com. On Twitter, I am @nightwingpdp. Like I said, follow us all over and prepare for Capes and Lunatics. It's going to be this, but so much more. All right, Charlie. I think I'm done promoting us.
Yeah, that's a lot of promotion, man.
I know. All right. And like Charlie said, follow us soon, probably in the next day or two, to Super Connectivity, which will also be going to the Capes and Lunatics podcast. So like I said, it's very important. Follow us on all that social media. All right. Guess that is it. Join us next week. The Secret Empire march is on. And I had something and I can't. I think I lost it. Okay.
Perhaps Kobik removed it from your memories.
Oh, yeah. Reality will be altered in a month. Capes and Lunatics will be here. Prepare for our Secret Empire. Good night.